Episode 15, Soul Travelers. Hello, here we are. Another episode, another week. This is Journey Through the Dreamscape with me, Angelina Young. Today, I have another fabulous, magical, mystical episode for all of you. Are you prepared? I hope so, because this one was a lot of fun. But before we get into what that little episode is about, let's talk about the week. My dreams have been insane, as always, but things have felt very much more magical and intuitive is the word I'm looking for. I've been feeling like communication has been a very big thing lately. Just like getting intuitive downloads or feeling like things need to come through during meditation, feeling like kind of like a knock on a door or like a hey, I got a message for you thing from my guides, the other side, whatever you want to call it. I've been hearing hellos every so often at work, but no one's there. I don't feel like it's a bad thing, but I have noticed that. For some reason, it's only happening there. Don't know what that's about. Been having little animals visit lately that I don't usually see. And my dreams, oh my gosh, I had this very strange dream where it was like very, how do I put this? Neutral feeling. Like I wasn't in a place of judging or giving my perspective on a situation, right? But I was there and I was soul traveling and healing souls deeply in my dream. Which, what does that mean, Angelina? Okay, well, the best way that I could describe it is that I was kind of like hovering and going to these different places and different plots, which felt like farmland, but there was different people there, people that I don't know, people that I do know, and I was like there with their souls, their themselves, their essence, their being, and like healing them. And I just knew I was like in the act of healing them, and it felt real, but it also felt neutral. Like I wasn't there like, oh, you poor thing. It was just more like, I don't know, I was like a job, but like a good one, and I was just naturally doing it. And there were some people there that needed more healing, and there were just things that I intuitively knew in the dream that was like, oh, I'm keeping calm, and I'm pretty good at keeping calm in this, and I can help you. I have the resources to help you. And I also wrote in my notes, I was aware of healing others and doing, in quotes, work on them. And then there was also this like man, and he was like this native guy, and he had like this braid, and oh my gosh, the details on his face were insane. Like I feel like I know this man, and he had a very weathered face. Like I could see all the wrinkles, I could see his eyes right now, like just imagining it, and this like beautiful black long hair, right? And he had his back to me, okay? And there was this other woman who was there, and she was like, here, this is for you. And it was this staff that had like a braid within it. It looked like hair, but honestly I think it was like twine or wheat, something like that. I don't know, something that you could braid with that. Down this stick, this staff, and it had feathers on it with dream catchers on the staff. Like there was 3 dream catchers towards the top, like mini dream catchers, like woven onto this staff that curved. It curved kind of like a cane, but it was pretty big. Like it was probably taller than me. It was as tall as the guy in my dream. But this woman is like, hey, this is for you. And I was like, huh? I was like, I don't think so. I don't know what that is. And he heard and he turned around and he was like, no, this is for you. He said it's for chanting, for releasing, healing in a circle. But do you think you have the vocals for it? And I was like, I think I do, but I don't understand. And he said, no, you will understand. This is for you. Take it. And then placed it in my hands. And I took it. And then I went in the circle with like all of these people that I don't know. And yeah, I just started doing what I was supposed to do. And then I woke up. But it was very weird, very strange, very, very much like a different level of dreaming. And I woke up that morning around like 5:20 a.m. because I was heading to work. I had this dream June 13th. I always date my dreams. So this was June 13th, and on the way to work, I was just like, what was that staff? Also, by the way, the stick was wooden, of course. It also felt like it could have been made of bone in some parts. I don't know. And then there was that twine. There was also turquoise on it in little pieces, in places that were carved. The dream catchers were like very much dream catchers. Like there was string and like feathers hanging down from it. It was very cool. Oh my gosh, maybe I should actually make this just for myself to have here. But I searched it up, and I guess that actually is a thing, which I didn't know. And it's called, I think it was like a dream wand or a dream staff. And I guess it was used by shamans, by like native people to, I don't know, these people that had dream wisdom and would basically ward off negativity, ward off the bad, the evil, protect. And they usually had wisdom and power, in a sense, to help others, which is just, by the way, kind of strange that I dreamt this. I did not know what this was before the dream. I do think it has a lot of meaning, but also this kind of goes hand in hand with all like the intuitive messages that I felt that were coming through. Still trying to piece that together because, you know, that's how life is. It's full of mysteries, and we kind of just go and learn as we go. So I don't know. That felt like a very good omen. Thought I should share it. Thought you guys should know. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. So I think maybe we should start getting into the actual episode of the week. I'll let you sit with that. This week we have a guest, and she was an absolute delight. Amazing person to talk to. Her name is Shakira, and oh my, we had such an amazing conversation. And it kind of goes with this because wow, we actually talked about her going through her dreams and helping people. I had this dream before we had our recording. So strange synchronicities, more validation, more magic. And yeah, we get to dive into how the light in her soul helps others, helps herself, how she sees the world through her dreams, through her practices, through her way of being. And honestly, it was magnificent and such a wonderful time. And I think all of you guys will have such an amazing time listening to it. So how about we just jump right into that? Hello, everybody. Today we have Shakira Villaquiran joining us today, and she co-founded Inventando Production, a company that curates and collaborates with small businesses to provide wholesome events for the community. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. I'm excited to have you here with us. So to start off, I just want to know, one, more about you and if you remember your dreams.
Yeah, I guess we'll start off with the basics. Obviously, my name is Shakira. I'm a Sagittarius, Taurus moon, Capricorn rising. I feel like, that's enough, for to explain about people. I do wholesome small events for people to just enjoy each other's company, make new friendships. And yeah, I remember my dreams. I put them on pause like a good show, and I come back all the time.
Love it. Do you write them down? Do you put them in your notes? What do you do with them?
Yeah, so after I don't even remember. I remember it was in middle school that my one of my aunts from my father's side of the family, I'm half Ecuadorian, half Dominican. And my aunt told me if I really want to remember my dreams to not get up right away, to just keep my eyes closed and just think about the last thought you had. And that's how I'm able to go back to it. And then if they're really significant enough, then I do write them in my notes app.
I love that. I've actually talked about that a little bit, is for people that have trouble remembering dreams to stay there, to literally stay there. Or say you do move, go back into the position that you woke up and just see if anything comes to you. Because you'd be surprised. It's just that little movement staying in place, it'll kind of bring those memories back.
Exactly. It's like where you last left the item,
Yeah.
it'll it'll come
retrace
back.
the
Yeah.
steps, but with your
Yeah.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that like sometimes if it's a long nap, like a long sleep overnight, then I have one. But if I take a nap during the day, I have like five different dreams in one nap, and none of them
Oh
connect.
my God. Don't even get me started on that. So through the night, I'll usually remember a series of dreams, but of course, like the one that just happened will be like the most vivid.
Hmm.
Depends on the night too. I honestly think I need to look into it. I feel like it's also with the moon cycles. I really need to look into that in seasons because I've noticed some are a little more active. But for naps, yeah, if I sleep for an hour, I'll have like a good 10 dreams or like even more. And you have to think like how many minutes is that for each? But some of the dreams are super long too. So time's just so different.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like and none of them connect in any way possible. So I completely feel that. Yeah.
Do you have any that you remember that you want to share from a nap?
Um, yeah, I guess like the most recent one, I took a power nap. It wasn't really a power nap. It was like maybe 3 hours. Um, but I was I was dreaming a lot about the people in my life, which is
Mhm.
very rare for me because most of the time I'm dreaming about people that I don't know. And I have a tendency to like, well, a lot, backtrack. Like, I have like a lot of people, I used to have a lot of people in my life that didn't explain their feelings, you know? So I would like hold that in of like, what are they feeling? What are they going through? And it's like anytime I dreamt about them, it was like I was letting them speak about what they were feeling through my dream, you know? And then it would be like a day or two pass and they would say exactly kind of what they wanted to say that they already said in my dream, and it would always freak me out. And it wasn't until like it happened a couple times that I started writing it down, and I'm like, oh my god, you said exactly what I thought you would fucking say, you know? So the last dream I had was like with the next friend of mine, and like he was just going off, and I was like, oh, so is this how you really feel, like, you know? And it was so weird because me and him have never had a fight in person, you know? But the way he was explaining himself, I was like, maybe I should check on this friend. And then 2 days later, I call him and I'm like, hey, are you okay? Like, how'd you feel about, this scenario that happened like a few months ago? He's like, I've been wanting to talk about it. And he said, like, yeah, it hurt me that nobody was listening to like my opinions or, valuing me. And that's why I left, the party early. And I was like, this is crazy.
Uh,
And I don't know if it's like that internal feeling that you have about people, but you're too afraid to like ask them if they're okay. I don't know.
okay, yeah, I have so much to go off of this. Where to start? Like my mind's going a mile a minute. So I know like empath is like a pretty used term now, but do you feel like in that sense, like you do pick up on those emotions a lot, and it's like you kind of not even just like feel that they're going through that, but maybe even take it.
I do. Okay, yeah. I mean, I know the word empath. I try not to like say
Yeah.
that
I
because
try
I
not to
never,
either because it's used
yeah,
so much, right? And it's kind of like this term that's just kind of, I don't know, like a dumpster term, right? Is that what it's?
exactly.
Yeah.
And like I feel like people look at you like, oh, it's because you think you know it all. But then
Yeah.
when you really sit there, like it really does frustrate me when you're sitting there and you're feeling everybody's emotions and you're like, you know exactly what's going on. So it's weird to sit there and then to have people bring it up like an hour or two later or like 3 days later, it's like it just tests my patience, you
Mhm.
know? But yeah, I think it also stems from a lot of trauma too, like when you could tell like who's in a bad mood depending on their footsteps or the way the key jingles at the door, and then you start practicing that tool, and then you start doing that with people around you, and it just happens that way, so I get it, it's hard, but it's a word that I feel like when people hear
Yeah.
that they're like, who are you to say that,
I see, I don't really use that word a lot. I think that's the first time I've used this word on my channel. I usually just use intuitive because it's also like your intuition, like your feeling, right? But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like that's what I'm thinking of because you're also, I don't know, feeling into that so much that it's going into your dreams. And you're also, I kind of also see some of those dreams as it might actually be a branch of their soul. I don't know, reaching out because it's weird. Like I can feel if someone's having a bad day and like there's nothing there, it's just like the air changes, you know? So there has to be something
Yeah.
dream, and then we dream of someone and it's actually accurate. There has to be some part that's like there. Like, have you heard of
Yeah.
chords to like other people? It's like energetic chords. It could even be like that, like you're feeling what they're going through, and it's like a way for them to tell you beforehand, either to like prep you or just so you can get some insight into it.
Yeah, and I definitely believe in chords and connections with people, and like the closer you are to them, the more you could really feel that energy. Um, but I feel like a lot of, especially women, because we are very intuitive, like we get we get kind of shunned to like, oh, what do you mean you saw it in your dream? You
Mhm.
know, and it's like, no, it's just more I felt it and I felt your energy. That's why like whenever I do have dreams about people that are unwanted, I usually do like kind of a blessing or a cleansing the morning of, because I don't want them in my dream and I don't want them connected to me. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, I definitely get it. And I've also noticed like awake. I'm guessing since that happens in your dreams, I'm curious, does this happen to you in waking life where you'll think of someone and they'll call? Because I was just thinking of someone who I'm not like they're a customer at my job, right?
Hmm.
I just randomly thought of them and I was like, huh, I wonder if they're gonna stop by today. I haven't seen them for a few weeks.
And they do.
They showed up 30 minutes later and they were so excited to see me. She's so lovely, by the way. She came by and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're here." I was like, "Where have you been?" She was like, "I have been working like crazy. I was gone." And then she said, I wasn't even gonna stop by today. She's like, I just thought about coming here, even though there's two coffee shops outside my place. She's like, I decided to take the longer route and come by here. I was like, I was just thinking about you, and she's like, I did too. She's like, about the same time. She said, about
I
the same.
love that when people say like I was just thinking about you or I was just talking about you. And it's the energy. It's like you attract what you want, you know, and it will show up your doorstep. That's why you can't just talk about anything, you know, and not even anything negative. Like you can't just say like, "Oh, I hope so and so doesn't show up at the party," like, you know, or this like
And then the
venue.
person walks in or something, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, speak of like that saying, speak of the devil, and it's like,
Yeah. The
yeah.
devil will show up.
It's like because you're putting it out there, like your words have so much meaning. And I
Power,
think
yeah.
the fact that it is going into your dreams is just saying how much you have of that, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like overwhelmed? Like I
Like, yeah.
especially feel overwhelmed when there's like a lot of tension, you
Yeah.
know?
I was
With a
just
lot
gonna
of
say
people, it's
that.
just not for me. Yeah. And like concert venues, it depends. Like I'll look up certain concert venues where I'm like, if it's too like crowded or packed, I can't handle that type of energy. Because it's like I'm not even focusing on what's happening on stage anymore. It's like I'm focused on all the surroundings and all the like situations, you know? So it is tough. So how do you feel about that?
See, I feel like I love going to events and I love being around all different kinds of people, but especially lately, it has been getting so overwhelming that I have to take breaks. Like I have to rest, which that's why I've been highlighting it so much lately is like rest. Whatever that looks like for you, just don't second guess that. Like take the rest if you need it, or else you're gonna burn out. And especially being around so many different emotions. And if someone's like having a super low day, and even if they don't say it, but like their mannerisms or just like they're kind of putting that out there or they're pouring it on to me, it's
Mm-hmm.
like I have been working on protecting myself from that because I take it on a lot and I also create a space for people to do that. And it's
Yes,
like there has to be a limit to that because it starts
I
affecting my
get you.
dreams, it starts affecting like my crafts, like how I feel, just like it makes me feel lethargic, honestly. And I
Mm-hmm.
start feeling it. I don't know if anybody else feels it like this, but I start feeling it in my throat, actually, and in my jaw. And I've
I feel
noticed
it in my
that.
chest and it feels so tight. And I actually tend to get really red and break out in hives. And I'll feel fine, but my body shows it. And it's so strange how we're talking about connections and everything. Like, even if I'm not showing that I'm not okay, or like my
Mhm.
brain, like I'm not thinking about it too much, your body, no matter what, will show what you're feeling. some way or somehow that thought, that feeling will come out. And I get it when you say you feel it in your chest, like my skin just starts breaking out in hives, or people are like, are you allergic to something? Is something okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm completely fine. And just, I get that. Yeah.
Over this past year, I have become allergic to almost everything. Everything that touches my skin will break me out, and I have to really watch what I eat. I already don't eat meat, and I do eat dairy, eggs, but I'm like everything. And I also have noticed it has to do with like stress levels too, or how much I'm like if I'm overextending or underextending myself. So it's been kind
Mhm.
of a challenge too, but I have noticed that happening while simultaneously feeling this like overwhelming feeling. So I don't know. I feel like it's connected and I've been looking for other ways to fix this.
Yeah, I want to go back to two things, but I will talk about what you're talking like the different motions. Like I started cycle syncing because like us women we go through 4 phases in a
Mhm.
month. Did you know that?
Like the moon, yeah, and like the seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, we go through our luteal phase, we go through our follicular phase, our ovulation, and our menstrual,
Hmm.
right? And each cycle, you're feeling a different feeling. When you're through your luteal phase, that's the phase right before your menstrual cycle. This is when we're at our side saddest. Like when I start crying for no reason and I'm starting to feel certain things, I look at my little calendar and I'm like, oh, it's because it's a luteal phase and like my hormones are going out of balance. And then when on my menstrual cycle, I feel like my intuition is the strongest, And when I'm feeling certain things, like I'm very like, I know it. So sometimes I try to plan what I need to do with the phases that I'm in. So if I need to get a lot of stuff done, I'll try to plan it during my follicular phase rather than planning it during my luteal phase because I know I need to take extra care of myself that week. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, and like you should be eating certain things during those weeks because like carrots help a lot with your happy hormones.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to like biohack my body because I get it when you mean like your skin reacts to different like products and like it's no one has time to spend so much money on all
Yeah.
these things, you know? And I also want to go back to when you're talking about when someone is feeling like these big feelings and they have a good day. It's almost like you don't want to ask them what's wrong because if you do, they're not going to tell you.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to put myself in the practice where like, hey, what do you need from me right now?
Yeah.
Like, or what do you need? Do you need to be left alone for a bit and for me to do my own thing? Or do you need me here next to you? And I have to be okay with them saying, I want to be left alone, and then go about my rest of my day or do whatever I need to do because I tend to stay stuck in worrying about that person. So sometimes when we like the cord, you
Mhm.
cut that cord and you let that person feel their feelings, it's
And not have
best.
it leak on to you. Yeah. Or especially like you said, like you ask them and you don't want to say it and not prying into that because it's like that's also taking your energy. And it's if you're more sensitive to that and you notice that more, that is probably what will drain you.
Yeah, and what also is that like I noticed when I was with a particular person, I would just like try to like go above and beyond to like care for them. Like if they were in a bad mood, I'm like, okay, let me make them their favorite food. Oh, let me like, tidy up the room or do this for them. And they didn't ask for any of that.
Hmm.
Like we created that situation for ourselves, you
Yeah.
know? So it's interesting. Like, we don't take people's words for what they or like their body, what is called mannerisms for what it is. We want to fix it or we want to like help because we love that person. We have this connection to the person, but it's only giving us more anxiety.
Yeah,
You
heal
know?
something that's not asking for that.
Yeah. Or at least it's not ready for that right
Yeah.
now. Or you might not be the person to help them through that, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I feel that for advice too. It's like people ask me for a certain set of advice. It's like trying to feel out how much should I give or like what exactly are you asked?
mhm.
Because I don't know. I think it comes to like how much you give them and like you said if they're not ready, it's not gonna what's it gonna do? Like
Yeah. Yeah. But like to tie it back to dreams and like sometimes I hear conversations, or like I see the way people are acting in my dreams. I I choose wisely whether or not to ask someone about it. In my culture, like if you dream of someone like passing away or getting pregnant, you have to tell them the same day.
I've heard that in my family too, a little bit from some of my aunts. I've actually heard that to tell them, or else like yeah, it will come true. It'll be kind of like an unwanted wish.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And you never want that on your like your
Yeah.
chest, on your
Yeah.
conscience. Like no way. Like I don't care if I haven't seen you in like years. I'm going to call you and I'm going to tell you because I don't want to know any of it. But I have predicted three pregnancies already with like my dreams. And I had a fourth dream last month about one of my exes, and he came over my home to pick up some baby clothes. And I was like, "Yeah, here you go. Let's call him Dan." Right? I was like, "Here you go, Dan." And he was like, "Oh yeah, you want to see the baby?" I was like, "Yeah, show me the baby." And it was a baby boy, and he already has like two girls.
Mhm.
And I was like, I've never seen the baby's face before. Usually I only see the woman pregnant, but this was a very weird dream that I saw a man with like and the baby's face. So I'm very curious to see. Like I'm not gonna call him, but I'm very curious to see
If
like,
it's the same.
yeah, it might be a good update, on your
Yeah.
podcast, whether or not it comes true. So it could be the fourth. Who knows?
Oh gosh, these predictive dreams. So yeah, I have had some like this too. I've actually had one recently that kind of fits into this, but it's more of like it felt more like validation.
Mm.
There's someone that I know, we're gonna call her Lucy, all right?
Okay,
So
Lucy.
yeah. Lucy, we love Lucy. She's great. And I have never met her mother. Her mother's passed. Never met
Mm.
her. Don't know what she sounds like. Lucy has a daughter. All right. Have at this point, I had not met her daughter in person. And we had only hung out once, other than like an event that we did. Well, in this dream, I was there with Lucy and her daughter, and they were showing me this little dance that they were doing. And I saw this whole, it looked like a kitchen with like a little kitchen island made of marble. That wasn't familiar to me, but there was this closet that made me think of my grandma's closet.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, but it was weird and it was wide open and there was like perfume bottles and like little knickknacks and stuff that I just knew, oh, grandma. But it still wasn't familiar. And basically, they were showing me in the dream, Lucy was like, oh, this is this and this is this. Oh, my daughter wants to show you a dance. Like, let's do a dance. And then her mother walks out of one of the doors and walks over to like the kitchen island and didn't say a word, just looked at me and smiled. And I instantly knew she's happy. She's happy and she's
Mm.
proud. But like,
Oh.
Lucy had her back to her mom, like she couldn't see her. She was looking at
Hmm.
me, showing me something, but I looked up at her mom. And then I told her in person, flash forward to when I saw Lucy in person. And Lucy said, that sounds like the house that I think she said like one of her aunts had or something like that. And that basically her mom has visited her sister's dreams and some other family members and never talks ever. She
Oh
doesn't ever
wow.
talk in any of the dreams, and that's how you know it's her. And
Wow.
I was
Oh,
like,
I got chills.
I don't know why I had this dream. Like I said, I've never met her mom. I've only met
Mm.
her. And I
Mm.
was like, but this is exactly what it was. And I'm not sure. I just feel like I should tell you about this. And she was really happy about it. And I had it dated in my phone what day it happened. She said that day she asked her mom for a sign.
That is so beautiful. That
And
is
I
so
thought that was
beautiful.
insane.
That is so beautiful. I believe in signs a
I
lot,
do too.
and it's funny because when you ask for a sign, it will show you, and like you have to accept whichever way form it comes out. So it's really nice to hear it from a friend. I feel like, she asked her mom for a sign, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna even like talk through a family member. I'm gonna talk through a person that you didn't even know that I knew existed. And that's
Hmm.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's insane because these are things that I couldn't have known. So I think
Hmm.
that was more validation for her that, like, hey, that's your mom. And also for me to be like, whoa, so this was accurate. And like, I can trust this because this is not
Yes.
something that I'm familiar to, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's beautiful. You know, it's crazy because I wrote a poem about a bee, and I wrote it about someone, and as I was reading the poem to that person, on my window, like right on the cue when it ended, there was a bee, like a bumblebee, and it was just staying there. And I'm like, am I seeing things? You know? And I was like, okay, whatever. The bee goes away. I practiced the poem again, and the bee showed up again, and I was like, I feel like that's a very beautiful sign that either the bee liked this poem or it was a really good one about this person and should be like, loved more, nurtured more. And I've never seen the bee since, so I'm taking that as a sign.
I don't know why this is a sign for me. Last night, I was literally showing my boyfriend pictures of different kinds of bees, bumblebees, and stuff. And because he's so scared of them. And I was like, no, they will not hurt you because they're actually pretty gentle. They don't want to sting you. And I was like, and
Yeah.
bumblebees, you can actually pet them. And I said the only ones you should watch out for is like wasps because, yeah, you don't want to swat a wasp. But I was showing him that last night. I kid you not, this whole thing.
Wow.
The fact that you brought that up.
Do you know the quote, no life-loving bee would ever sting you? Because it's because if they do sting you, they pass away, you know?
Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like and they love life. They create life. They help create a home and everything. So I like to think about that. Like some people look very mean or scary, but they could be gentle, and full of life. And I think that's really cute. But that's cool. That's a nice sign, you know?
Yeah.
How like conversations play into others. That's cool.
Hmm. I want to ask you. So you did mention you said it was your grandma. You said it was your aunt that said about remembering your dreams and like laying down.
Yeah, yeah. My aunt.
Yeah, got it. So she was very in touch with dreams. What about the rest of your family? What do they think about dreams? Were they like, yeah, this means something, or was it talked about?
Yeah, so my Dominican side, we didn't really talk about things. It's more like superstitions here and there. But my Ecuadorian side, I feel like we all have, especially the women, we all have like very vivid dreams. Everyone dreams very differently. My aunt, she can dream about people in our lives and like actually see warning signs of like things that are happening to us. I have another cousin who she dreams of people who have passed on, so ghost visits her. Me in particular, like sometimes I dream of people I don't know of, but it feels so real, like as if as if I was their conscience and I could feel like as if like I was looking through your eyes. So I know it's not me because they're doing whatever they want to do, but sometimes I'm like giving them advice. I'm like, don't do that, or sometimes I'm out of their body and I'm just looking at them, but it feels so real that I could smell it, I could feel it when I wake up. Sometimes like I like sense where their pain was in my body, which is really weird to me. I get really freaked out about those dreams. It's funny because the only one who doesn't get freaked out is my aunt, but all of us like who are younger generation, if we do have a dream like that, it's not good for us. I don't know what it is, but it scares me because like sometimes I have dreams like this one particular dream. This girl, she was at a friend's house and I could tell like she was at a friend's house that she didn't really know that well. And I was looking at her, I'm like, don't take that drink. Or like I was like, don't go into that room. And she did everything I told her not to do. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like I was watching a scary movie. And at one point I helped her get out and I was like, okay, breathe. And I was guiding through it. And it's like the dream cut me off right there, and I don't know where she went or where she, like I can never go back to those dreams. It's always just like a pause, and then it's funny because like sometimes I have about five situations where I've written down in my journal and I will always think about it forever where I've seen these people in real life and I just stare at them, where I'm like, I know you from somewhere. I'm like, I know you from the dream. And like something my body always wants to go up to them and be like, did you have this experience?
Yeah, like ask them to, because yeah, that does happen. It's very rare. And like I said, I feel like people, when you dream about them, it's like an energetic connection. And if you're dreaming at the same time, like both asleep, I do think you can enter dreams, but like they may not remember it. It could be like they might not remember their dreams a lot too. So they'll be like, what dream? But they may very well like have had that dream too.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest example I'll share this very, very beautiful example that I always think about is I used to dream a lot about this little girl named Eliana, right? And I remember she had this beautiful like blonde curly hair. And I remember Eliana always like to like I would watch her make cookies with her grandma, right? And it was like these sugar cookies, like you know the ones that look like pretzels.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
I don't know, but
they're like the little, I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, so I would dream about Eliana and she would always talk like she would be with her grandma and stuff and I would like kind of watch her every time she was in her grandmother's house and I knew what her grandmother's foods it smelled like food that I never recognized and everything. That following year, I was in I think I was in first grade. Second grade, I go to a new school
Mhm.
and I meet a blonde little girl named Eliana and she lives with her grandma, you
Oh
know?
my gosh.
And then for her birthday, I got invited to her house. And I'm like, I've been here before. My mom's like, you've never been here before, Shakira. I'm like, no, I know this house. And I was like, this is this room, blah, blah. And I didn't know how to explain it, you know? And it's because I would always dream about her. And I don't know how that was, but this is what I
I
mean. That's what confirmed it for me that like I can dream about people that exist out in the world and I don't know how else to explain it.
Can I just say, first off, you are so lovely. Like,
I'm
I
just
feel
sweating over here, like nervous talking about this, by
no,
the way.
no, like, please don't be
Thank you.
nervous. Like, I am enjoying this so much. I had to like jot down some notes because I don't want to forget any of this. I really want to bring this up to you, like, from that. So,
Okay.
first off, from that, from like the Ileana little dream and then that actually happening, I have to ask. So, first up, I have to give like a little background. So, I've mentioned it before on the podcast, but to just like say it really quickly, when I was growing up, like my family was very religious. Well, my grandpa was like
Mhm.
Catholic, Christian, but even from a young age, I knew I didn't necessarily believe in that, but I believed there was something. Like I always felt something, just like this knowing. And there wasn't anybody around me that was like, oh yeah, like, hey, like the Claires, like you could psychic stuff, blah, 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 blah. There was stories about that, but there was nobody there to teach me about it.
Hmm.
So I am curious, do you believe that your dreams are a sense of like clairvoyance? Since it is like images, pictures, like clairvoyant, like you can have vivid dreams. Do you think it is that going through?
Um, if you asked me last year, I would have said no. But this year, I've really been into my practice, and I have been very like I stopped disrespecting my intuition, you know, because every time I did, I always end up in situations where I'm like, I knew that shit was gonna happen, and I started, you know, having more how do I say English? Like confidence in my ancestors and talking to them and talking about this out loud. So yeah, I do feel it, you know. I try not to say like anything bad that I have like feelings about because I don't know how people are going to take it, but I do share it with like my close friends, you know. And it's crazy because like one of my friends, she started dating someone new and I was like I'm like, do you mind? I feel so much love between you guys. I know you guys only been talking for a month, but I want to write out what's going to happen in these next 2 years. Like I want to talk about it because like I had a dream about him at the barbecue with his mom and her and everything, and I wrote everything down. Like I wrote it down by seasons of what's going to happen, and monthly she has been updating me,
Oh my God, that's
and it has been
insane.
making me so happy. And it's like it makes me feel really in tune with like people around me, or at least like you know, it makes me feel good and I feel a little less crazy talking about it. But I don't really have anyone guiding me through these things. It's just more of like my practice and making sure I feel grounded and taking it day by day, I guess.
That is exactly how it's been for me is I don't know, it's weird. I feel like I have, for the most part, always listened to my intuition. But of course, like there's some things like without actually practicing and like sitting down and like making the intention to do it, that you'll be like, oh, where's that from? Maybe I shouldn't listen to that. That's crazy, right? Well, I've been trying really hard too to listen to that. And so far it has been working and it's like these little validations. And I also think it's like a sign like, hey, see, this is like actually something like keep following it and see where it goes. And I
And
don't,
don't you see that like the more you do it, the happier you are?
yeah. And it's
Like,
like,
yeah.
and the people that aren't listening to it, I've noticed are like, what? That's crazy. Like, that's just a lucky guess. Or you can't really live by that. And it's like these projections. And that's also like goes into what we said at the beginning is like feeling this, like feeling those emotions and being like, and I've kind of come to a point where it's like, well, maybe those aren't my people then. Because
Yeah.
it's not affecting them in a bad way and they're like not even making a point to hear it out. Like they don't have to really understand it, but it's like you're gonna judge me for listening to a little voice or a little feeling that I have
Mm-hmm.
if it's working for
Yeah.
me.
Because you know what that little voice and that feeling, that's you. That's you. So you're
Hmm.
not gonna listen to yourself, you know? And I completely agree about I'm slowly moving away from people that don't really align with the
Yeah.
way I see the world or the how I see things. Like, isn't it more beautiful to see signs in the world and
Yeah.
to see like things for how you feel them? And and I was just trying to talk about too is that like in practicing intuition, you also have to practice like the gut feeling of what you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And that has really, I guess that's called like shadow work,
Mhm.
right? Is that like what people call it? Like
That
it's
has
like when
been
you're
popping
working.
up so much. And yes, it is called shadow work. And I think it was coined by Carl Jung. It's looking at these aspects of yourself, traumas and stuff, but not just being like, hey, like I see you, but actually being like, okay, so this happened. How can I like reprogram this or kind of work through this and
Mhm.
also use it as like a superpower instead of like my downfall?
Exactly. So like a lot of the times when I do my shadow work, right, and I look into the parts of myself that I don't necessarily like or I want to delve deeper into it, it has helped me. The more I think about those things and work on those, it has helped me not be super like project my feelings onto my predictions, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because a lot of people are like, well, that's how you feel about it, or like you're projecting onto me. I'm like, actually, like I'm doing that freaking work, So I promise you, if I was really projecting, this is how I would present it. So when I'm trying to practice my intuition, I'm always like, what can I do that might skew what I'm saying to somebody?
Kind of
My
like a
feelings.
gray state, like
Yeah.
kind of like how psychic mediums that get information from the other side, they could go off of like what they know, but really like if someone's presenting, they like see flowers, it's just say it just like that. Don't even add anything like what you think to it because the flowers might mean something to this person. If I start going on what I think, it will just be so confusing. And it might
Hmm.
be a mess up still, but it's like just say it how it is and just not add your input, give it how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been practicing a lot with oracle cards.
Mm.
Staying away from tarot cards, but more with oracle cards because I feel like they give me more of a sense of like kind of guidance of what of the feeling I should be having, at least the deck that I have,
I do
you
too.
know.
Actually, I have my
Yeah.
my tarot cards here, but I just feel so connected to oracle cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really heard that because there is a lot and there's nothing wrong with that either. Like the
Yeah.
tarot card lovers, but it's just like that hasn't felt like mine, you know? I really
Mhm.
like my oracle cards and I like my pendulum.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Yeah.
Yep. My first pendulum I actually made, and it was this like piece of, I think it's like glass that I had found, but it was really pretty and it almost looks like a gem.
Nice.
And I forget where I found it, but it was following me around. I had put it somewhere. I was like, I'm gonna make something out of this. I don't know what. And it kept popping up and it kept popping up. And then one day I was like, I am gonna make myself a pendulum. And I was staring at that piece of glass and I was like, well, now I know what it's gonna be made for. And it's my favorite
Mhm.
pendulum.
That's nice. It's because it was made from you, like all of our tools, like we have to hold them very dear, you
Yeah.
know? And usually my favorite ones are the ones I make myself.
Mhm.
And you know how like you were staring at this object and then you made it into something like,
Yeah.
we're talking about dreams and you talk a lot about dreams that we've had, but what about dreams that we have for our future? Like are to like you for you who like, you're more specialized in this, do you consider those dreams as well? You know?
Ones in the future, like if they're gonna
Yeah, like
actually
when you
happen.
fantasize about yourself like having this podcast or like creating your pendulum, like do you consider that a dream? Because I feel like that's just us dreaming like awake.
Okay, that's very funny. And I guess this is what everybody wants to hear because you are probably the fourth person this week that has brought up daydreaming because that's what you're saying, right? Like daydreaming about
Hmm.
these goals. That's insane. Actually, Lucy was the one when I told them about that dream that I told you, asked me, "Hey, can I like poke around in your mind about daydreaming because I'm curious." I am a daydreamer. I have always been a daydreamer. And yeah, I do think that what is going around in your mind that you're like creating these daydreams about, or even just like about the future, like that is a form of manifestation because that's what it is, right? Like you're bringing that, you're calling that, like you're asking to align to that. Even if it
Hmm.
is not there yet in your mind, it could already be depending on like how imaginative you are, because I think imagination is so powerful. It's so important. And it's not just like a silly little game that kids play. Like that's their world. When I was
Yeah.
two, like all of my games consisted of imagination. Like I would create these fantasy worlds with my friends and like we would be doing all of these things. We'd have like a castle, we'd have this whole life and it was like I could see it. So I
Me
mean,
too. I vividly I could see
yeah.
everything. Yes, yeah. But do you know some people can't like if I say like this apple is purple, like some people can't see
Yeah,
that.
I
And that
know.
blows my mind, you know? So I
That's
wonder how they manifest. Like if you can't actually see yourself doing X, Y, and Z, like how do you know? How do you
and
manifest? How do you dream about it?
I think that's the clarist. So what I've noticed, yeah, definitely like clairvoyant, like seeing, like imagination is definitely one of my strong suits because I can see it. Like when I read books too, when I was little, I'd add an entire like a movie and I'd be confused. Like that wasn't actually a movie. I didn't watch that like years ago. There's no movie to that book. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could see it. Like I could hear them. And I think that people that can't see that, like I think they still could if they worked on it pretty hard. It's just like that skill wasn't really developed early on, but they might have like the other things like knowing, like just like knowing this is what I want to do, like this is it, and that's their manifestation. Could even be like sounds, which honestly like maybe it's just like hearing a bell ring if that's like they want to work in a school, or like
Yeah.
different parts. Maybe it's like feeling, maybe it's like physically making something that represents it and like having it there so that you can look at since you can't visually like
Like, yeah, I get it, like the visual board. I tend
yeah.
to like when I'm especially I used to take the bus into the work. Um so I don't do it as much often, but when I would like zone out and I would daydream about any like project that I'm working on. You know, like if Darlene and I, that's my partner who works with me for the Inventando Production, whenever we would make an event, I would actually just like imagine what people were wearing, what the music was playing, the exact song that was playing, kind of like the lighting, like all of that things. And like the day of, I would be there and I'm like, this is exactly what I saw, you know? And now I'm looking at people who are very artistic, who like who write poetry or like do paintings or curate anything. I'm like, I wonder how their brain worked, you know? I really love taking pictures of like the beginning process and then how it came about because it's insane like how certain people's minds work.
I think that would answer your question. If they can't actually see it, I just like I don't know, it just came to my mind is if they write music, that could be their form. Maybe they write a song for their future or like a tune for their future and it's like they always play that. That could be like their manifestation. Maybe it could be just a photograph or like they paint. They could paint what they want it to look like since they can't actually just envision it, like they have to put it to paper. You
Oh,
know,
that's a
that
really good
might be
way of saying,
one
yeah, that's
way.
good. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I would think that that would still be manifestation for them. But yeah, definitely when I was growing up, like all of these worlds were so real. I could see them. It still is daily if I'm like zone out and I'm in another world, like actually. And sometimes people will notice and they'll be like, "Hello." And I'm like, "Oh,
Where'd you
I'm
go?
literally not here. Like I am it's not a bad thing. I'm just like imagining these things that I want, you
That's
know?
good. Good for you.
Thanks. Good for you too, because it sounds like, yeah, you same way.
Yeah, no, I honestly like once I learned that like our brains are easily to trick and what you tell it is what it believes. So
Yeah.
I've been trying my best. I don't want to like preach like toxic positivity, like always be positive because like life goes up and down, you know?
Yeah.
Again, like my luteal phase, like I'm in it now. I like one moment I'm really happy, the next I'm sad. But the days that I'm very happy, I really like I take it for what it is and I
Mhm.
try to always say it. And I'm like, or I tell myself like, oh my God, I have such a beautiful life. Like how beautiful is this moment that we're talking right now? And we only met twice and it's like
Yeah.
now we're just having a full conversation.
And
And
it's
that's so
great. We're having so
beautiful.
much fun.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
learning
And then
so
like,
much.
yeah, it's cool.
And to go off of that, see, I don't know how I like that term. Is like it's like it doesn't want to come out of my mouth as a toxic positivity because I feel
Yeah,
like that's
it's the same thing
also
of like feeling people's feelings. It's you know what it is? It's just we have the stigma of people around us of like saying like, what do you mean you feel everybody's feelings? Or like, what do you mean you're always trying to be happy? Like it's like I'm trying to downplay and maybe I'm working on that myself. It's like, you know,
see, I think at my point right now, one thing that has always been me, and I cannot lose. Like I cannot lose. I cannot do that to myself. Is I guess being unapologetic, and
mm,
like being 100% yourself and being comfortable in that. And the fact that not everybody's going to get that. And some people will say that. They're going to be like, what does that even mean? And I'm going to be like, exactly what I said. It's either you get it or you don't, and like that's okay. Like either way, it's okay. So like that toxic positivity thing, it like I don't know, it makes my mouth like go ugh, because
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And even while I was saying, I was because I wanted so badly to say like be positive and like the more good things you say out loud, it will come to you, you know. And even in the situation, because life just happens.
hmm,
So even the bad situations, you'll still find some way to move out of it, you know, when you think positively. But I still felt like you're right. I was trying to downplay myself and trying to like not be super excited about saying.
but I don't think that that's at you. I do think that's kind of a like a projection, a trigger from like how we've all been raised. I don't know, to fit these structures that don't even make any sense and kind of like keep us
Yeah.
happy. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna say like be happy. Like, 'cause I have been in that spiral of where it's like, oh my gosh, craziness. Like, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking all these bad things? And, you know, taking a step back from that and adding a little bit more magic to my life and realizing like, hey, the thoughts that are going through your mind are what keep you in that place. That's tough to hear and a lot to do. And it's not just easy, like snapping your fingers, it's work. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, the truth is, as simple as it's said, is be more positive. Look at the light in the darkness because you can create that. If there is none there, make it yourself. Make it yourself
Yeah.
or make it the dream because that's kind of how it's going to start happening. It happens one step at a time. It's like one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. I thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. Because like even if everything goes wrong in a day, like you could always count on like making a tea and making that your special moment, you
Mhm.
know, or like making your bed routine a special moment, you know, and you have to find some type of positivity or some happiness, some pocket of happiness
Seeing
somewhere.
it
And I
the
love
small
that.
things, and people
Yeah.
think that it has to be like this grand, huge thing, like I don't know, making money, like making all of this money or like having these fancy things, but it could be so small, not small to you, but like a small gesture of like maybe I just pick a nice outfit that's my favorite color
Yeah.
and I wear that and
Hmm.
it makes me feel confident. So then when I
See,
go out, I'll like actually smile and maybe I'll make someone else smile and that makes me feel so good.
yeah.
What else can I do? It's like those little things. And also when you're doing that and you notice these changes and you're on that path of like feeling good, I've heard this like you're gonna get flames in your face because you're like powering through. And I think that's also like projections of others of being like, you can't really be that happy. What are you doing? And it's kind of to keep you back. And you either listen to that, which is very easy, or you have to take that stand at one point and kind of be like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I like you. I love this. This is very great. Honestly, like, no, that's been a theme this year for me where it's like I'm trying to be authentically myself and being okay, like with if this individual doesn't really like it, then maybe that person wasn't for you. And then I started to attract people in my life that like kind of think the same way as I do and have the same type of, you know, outlook on life and outlook on their own lives, you know, where they have their passions. So like lately I've been attracting a lot more people like me who have bigger dreams than the mundane and but also find beauty in the small pockets of mundane. So it's like, oh my God, like I feel like I found another person who thinks that way and who could also push me and encourage me to do that way just by being yourself. And
Yeah, and
that's the most important part is like when someone's themselves like
you
completely
feel
on their
it.
own, you affect another person.
Yeah. And before we go back into dreams, I do have to say that, yeah, I felt that. And that's what I was saying. Like, there have been so many new people that have been entering my life, and I feel good about it. But I've also noticed, like, when it's a not so good, like, not aligned with me, I wouldn't say like they're bad. It's just we're all in different places, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just sometimes your drop of water is like, in the ocean and they're in the lake still and it doesn't mix right now, you know?
Mhm.
But like that doesn't mean it won't and that doesn't mean like it can't. It's just not right now and it might not be good. But yeah, I've also noticed like doing this and being more of myself vocally because I feel like I've always have been myself. It's just I haven't felt the need to vocalize it and now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, no, like what am I doing? And I've noticed some friends just kind of trickle away. And it's like at
Yeah.
the point where it's like, okay, I see that, but I'm not gonna let that hold me back because then I'd be changing into something that I'm not. And is that gonna make
Yeah,
me happy?
and no one's happy because then you're not happy and like we were talking about it will always come
Mhm.
out whether it's in your body the way you speak or how you're changing the vibe of wherever you guys are hanging out. They're not going to be happy either because they're going to sense it, you
Yeah,
know.
you're gonna be
um
like trying to go overload to like meet these expectations that honestly, how would you even know it if like you're not even that person? That's not you.
yeah,
Not meet something that's not, yeah. And
I
that
agree.
I noticed a lot, and it's just like it sucks and it's very hard to go through. But I also look at it like there is that saying, like some friends are here for seasons, some are here for years, and some are here for a lifetime. But
That's crazy. My friend was just talking about that because like I was like I feel bad we haven't spoken in years. She's like, but I do appreciate the season that we were in, you
yeah,
know. And I love that, and I cherish those memories with her all the time because like I don't see her. I haven't seen her in 3 years, but I always go back to the time I did work with her, and I love those memories. So I still
Mhm.
have love for her even though we're not with each other all the time. And it's the same thing for like exes. Like I don't think that we were meant for each other, but like you look happy, I look happy. I think we just weren't really meant for each other. That's that.
And that right there, like I think that's perspective really, and that's what I'm saying. Like it is really that easy to change like your mind and think positive just little by little, because eventually you will come to that point where you're like, oh, I could look at that like, wow, I'm sad that I missed them and focus on that. Or you could be like, wow, I'm really happy that that person entered my life. Like, what did I learn from that? Like, even if it didn't go good and it was like sour, well, what did I learn? Did I learn like, wow, I still stayed myself? And like it just created more space for all these other people, or like did I learn that hey, not everybody's like thinks like that and that's okay. Like there's different things and different ways we can look at these things, like an ex, right? People might, I hear this a lot, like, oh, I wish I was never with them, I didn't waste my time on them. But it's like if you didn't, did you not grow or learn something through that? Like not
Yeah.
just to close yourself off and not trust anymore, but to realize like, hey, I went through this so that now like I can learn this other thing and love more to someone else because I know the lows.
Yeah, I exactly. I don't regret any relationships I've ever had. It's more of like lessons of how I want to treat myself. Not even like how I want other people to treat me, but like you teach people how to treat you,
Yeah.
you know? So it's helped me better forming friendships and relationships, every single one that has ended.
Mhm.
But to tie it to dreams, I actually do have a question for you. So whenever I'm in a relationship with somebody, like my ex, I never had dreams about them ever. Like so if I did, it was like more of like we were all like on vacation or something, but it's never like a dream about them. But when my relationships end with them, I do have random dreams. And it's not even like I was thinking about them any time of day or whatever. It's just like they just pop up in my dream. And I'm like, where'd you come from? I haven't spoken to you in years or whatever. And I'll wake up very confused. Like, is that weird?
Well, I think a lot of things are weird. I don't think it's bad weird. I think it's interesting. When I was younger, guess what? It's me again, future Angelina. And this episode is going to have a part 2. So we're going to cut it off right here. But next week, you'll be able to hear the rest of it. So can't wait. Let's see. Okay, hello. Here we are. This is the Oracle card reading and the question of the week part. And oh my god. Okay, I already shuffled and pulled the card just a second ago. Okay, I shuffled, I pulled out the card, and then I was like, I don't know, because this card fell on the ground. I'm gonna just put it back in and I'll shuffle again. I pulled the same card. So this card definitely wants to come out. And yep, here we go. This one says hearth. And on the bottom of the card, it says safety, comfort, spiritual connection. In the book, it says the hearth is the spiritual heart of your home, symbolizing the presence of spirit. A physical hearth provides light, warmth, and a way to prepare nourishment. The spiritual hearth represents the spiritual nature of the home, the essence of what makes it a place of rest, rejuvenation, and comfort. The location of the spiritual hearth is unimportant, as is whatever you might use or recognize as its physical representation. It may be a feeling, a meditation, a blanket. Hearth also symbolizes connection with those you consider family, as well as spirit. This card suggests that you look to those relationships and do what is necessary to reinforce them. Renew your connection to your hearth to keep the communication with spirit in your home vibrant. Okay, and I also picked a second card, and this one says Earth, and it says peace, grounding. And in the book, it says, the Earth card offers a moment of reflection and connection. You may be losing yourself and becoming too focused on work, schedules, and to-do lists. Sometimes you don't realize how far you've strayed from your relationship with nature and its calming energy. Even those of us who work with nature daily can sometimes get set in our own ways and become complacent. This card is a reminder to consciously renew your connection with nature and listen to what the natural world has to say. Take a step back and breathe. Give yourself space to find balance. Clear your mind and open it to the communication of nature. Let its energy soothe and revitalize you as you ground yourself in the earth. Okay, so these cards, insane. Hand in hand, go together. Crazy. So yeah, this just has to go exactly. I feel like it fits the intuitive part of like the messages coming through and a hearth and like having a space for these messages, creating a space for communication, which is the earth, peace, grounding yourself with the world, grounding yourself, your roots to the ground, taking in this energy, revitalizing yourself, replenishing, refreshing, creating space, openness. Open your heart space to receiving. Definitely what I'm getting for this week. Don't know if you guys are feeling it too. I think so. I think you guys are. So I kind of feel it. And my question for the week is, what's creating clutter in your life right now that's not allowing you to create space for something new, for messages, for communication? Is it your house? Is it actually literally cluttered? Is your mind cluttered that you can't receive messages, receive guidance? Listen to your intuition. Is the clutter in a different sense? Where is this clutter? Is there clutter? How can you fix it? That's the question of the week. Brilliant. And with this, I'd like to thank you all again. Here is another episode down and many more. Whoa, I can't speak. Many more to come. I almost felt like I said moons. Many moons. Many more moons to come. I don't know. We're being silly, but how exciting. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being here, for opening your hearts, opening your ears. This was Journey Through the Dreamscape with me, Angelina Young, and yeah, have an amazing, beautiful, lovely week. Until next time. If you found this episode or my previous ones insightful, chances are someone else you know will think so too. It'd be incredibly helpful and lovely if you shared this with them so that they can find something that possibly resonates with them too. To hear more, please subscribe to my channel. To stay updated in between episodes or to contact me for episode ideas and feedback, please go to my website, angelinayoung.com, or follow my Instagram, which will be down below. I'm always excited and open to hearing how and what you've dreamed of. So please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you, my beautiful dreamers. This was Angelina Young on Journey Through the Dreamscape. Tune in next week. Until then, see ya!